Hi traders, Fawad Razak here, market analyst for the City Index. Today is the 29th of May, and we've seen some interesting price action in the markets with dollar yen reversing sharply after being up overnight, but it has reversed now down more than 200 pips from earlier highs. And with it, we've seen other yen crosses tumble as well. And it's all to do with concerns about the Japanese bond market, where bonds are continuing to sell off, causing their yields to rise. As you can see, the 30-year bond yield is now back up to the 3% threshold, where it is testing at the time of recording. Now, if it gets above this level, I think that's going to trigger a bigger slide in dollar yen and other yen crosses. So do watch out for that. We have some inflation data coming out from Japan in the early hours of Friday. That could be the trigger behind a potential drop in bond prices and a rally in bond yields. So as we head towards the end of the week, we could potentially be approaching the all-time highs again. And that could put all sorts of risk assets into a bit of trouble because of the unwinding of the yen-funded carry trade. So do watch out for that. However, if inflation data comes in significantly weaker than expected, then we could see the Japanese yen take a breather and bond yields could weaken as a result as well. Now, looking at the daily chart of the dollar against the Japanese yen, you can see that it has reversed quite sharply off of this area of resistance, formerly support. This area comes in at around 146 to 146.50. I've shaded this in orange on the chart. Previously, you can see that the dollar yen rallied away from here before running into trouble at this area of resistance. And then it went on to break back below that area of support. That should have held, but it didn't. So now that price has come back to retest that zone, it has now turned into resistance, leading to today's drop. Price action is therefore looking bearish as things stand with these lower lows and lower highs. And the fact that we've got this inverted hammer candle on the daily chart, that suggests that we could potentially see some further downside follow through into Friday's session. So if you do see some downside, where will it go from there? Well, the key support now is at around 142 to 143.10 area, the shaded gray zone, which was basically the launch pad for the previous two rallies, as you can see over here and over here. So if we were to go below that zone this time, I think that would be quite significant and could lead to a drop down to 140, which is the most important long-term support level to watch. And a possible break below that could be on the cards as well if we were to get to 140 this time. Because the more a level is tested, the more likely it is that it will break in the direction of the test. It has already tested it a couple of times in the last couple of years. If we were to come back down one more time, I think this time, given everything happening in the bond market, could see rates take that area of support out. Now, taking the dollar out of the equation, you can see that the Japanese yen against the British pound is also weaker on the day after earlier rising to test 196 resistance, where it once again failed, creating this inverted hammer candle on the daily time frame. As I zoom in, you can see that price action had been quite bullish in recent times, but is this a possible reversal in the trend? That remains to be seen. But looking at the price candle alone, it looks like a bit of a reversal, at least in the near term anyway. But it could gather momentum should support breaks at around 193, where the 200-day moving average comes into play. And more to the point, if we go below this most recent low at 191.90, that could then pave the way for a bigger drop initially towards 190. Thereafter, we could be talking about a mid 180s. If not lower over time. But first things first, before we get too bearish on this currency pair, let's see if there's some downside momentum in this currency pair and indeed the other Japanese yen crosses as we head into the business end of the week. For more market insights and analysis, make sure to check out the news and analysis section at cityindex.com. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.